I wish to begin by commending the Bethany Home survivors and campaigners who have worked hard for years now to highlight the grave injustice to the women and children who were held there between 1922 and 1972. I commend in particular Derek Leinster and Neil Meehan, who have done a massive amount to give the survivors and the deceased a voice, to carry out detailed research on what really occurred in Bethany Home, and to raise public and official awareness. It is very, very sad when so much progress has been made in seeking recognition and apology and redress for other survivors of punitive institutions in this state, that so little progress has been made with regard to the survivors and the deceased of Bethany Home. I raised this issue repeatedly in the last Dáil, including directly with the last Taoiseach. Some who are now on the government benches were at that time highly critical of the failure to recognise Bethany for what it was, and I regret to say that now they are repeating the mantra of the last government, and in no greater, more direct way than the contribution we heard last night from Minister of State Kathleen Lynch. I have to express particular disappointment at the thoroughly negative and indeed insulting contribution of Minister of State Lynch, who replied on behalf of the government. We, for our part, did not approach this serious matter with any spirit of party political discord. On the contrary, we tabled a modest motion that sought to reopen the debate, rekindle public and political awareness, and make progress on behalf of the small number of surviving men and women of Bethany Home. This motion should command all party support across this Dáil, and if government voices don't want to divide the House tonight, let you withdraw your amendment and support the substantive motion tabled by Sinn Féin. Minister of State Lynch chose to reject the motion, to table a paltry amendment and to throw party political insults across this chamber. It does her and this government no credit at all. But we will not allow such an approach to divert us. In a letter in December 2010, Derek Leinster acknowledged those in the Oireachtas who had up to that time raised the case of Bethany Home, and these included the then Deputy Kathleen Lynch, my colleague Deputy Angus O'Snuddig, and myself, because we were substantive voices on this issue going back a long number of years. Putting the case in context, Derek Leinster stated, and I quote for the record, "Ireland has moved from stigmatising certain groups, such as unmarried mothers and their illegitimate children, to general indifference towards marginalised children. This links the eras of religious and secular unconcern toward the vulnerable. In each era, the state had or has a responsibility. This responsibility to former residents of the Bethany children and of Magdalene institutions is yet to be acknowledged through some form of redress. Though one institution was Protestant and the other Roman Catholic, the state facilitated a sectarian social care system that it then failed to regulate in the interests of residents. And that is where injustice lies," finished Derek in that particular statement. And today, Minister, at the end of 2013, that injustice has still not been addressed by the state. Children in Bethany Home suffered disgraceful neglect and mistreatment, and the state authorities knew about it. Children fostered out from Bethany Home also suffered terrible treatment, and the state knew about that as well. We need only look at the statistics for the deaths of children in Bethany Home. 219 Bethany Home children died between 1922 and 1949, and these same children currently lie in unmarked graves in Mount Jerome Cemetery in Dublin. Of the 219 dead children, 175 were aged between 4 weeks and 2 years. 25 were aged from a number of hours up to 4 weeks, and 19 were stillborn. Concluding last count Cordia, cemetery records indicate that the causes of death included 54 from convulsions, 41 from heart failure, 26 from starvation, and 7 from pneumonia. Those figures are stark and they are shocking, and they speak for themselves. In conclusion, therefore, I would urge the government to withdraw its amendment, to accept the motion as tabled, and let us move forward together on an all-party basis to finally see justice done for the Bethany Home survivors and indeed for the memory of the deceased.